Hello, and thank you for watching this presentation on correcting tricky B verbs. Before we get started, let me tell you why I created this video. I was looking at a YouTube video where this local comedian was being featured on a video podcast. She has aspirations of getting into movies and into television. So the people who were interviewing her were already in Hollywood, a podcast that was hosted completely by females who were already in Hollywood and already working actresses. Well, the local comedian responded to a particular question, and it was apparent that she wasn't too sure of what the word meant that they were using, and the word was just levity. But then on another occasion, towards the end of the interview, she made a statement that went like this. What I heard her say was, I seen that you had did a video on Instagram, but not on YouTube. What? Yes. I seen that you had did a video on Instagram, but not on YouTube. Now this comedian has the look, she's attractive, she's funny, but this is what she said. Well, the ladies on the podcast had certain reactions in their faces that you really had to be watching to catch. But I saw those reactions. And so they were very gracious and went on with the interview. But I want to say to you that regardless of what it looks like, if you really want to excel, be socially mobile, or be promoted in your profession, or for your business to grow, you must look the part and you must sound the part. So here is the correction. I saw that you had done a video on Instagram, but not on YouTube. Had done is the correction. But basically, a better way to express this idea would have been, I saw that you had posted a video on Instagram, but not on YouTube. So now we're going to get into ways that you can correct this tricky B so that you will come across as the intelligent, articulate person that you are. So here's what you need to know to make these corrections to tricky B. You need to know about the forms of be, irregular verbs, present perfect verb tense, and past perfect verb tense. If you are a teacher, then these are the areas of language that you need to make sure your students understand before you begin talking about the corrections that we're going to talk about right now. Briefly, here are forms of the verb be, and feel free to pause the screen so that you can look at them at your own pace. To be, the forms are am, are, is, was, were, be, being, been. Am, are, is, be, being are all used for the present tense or for the present progressive. Were and been are used when forming the past tense. To have, the forms are have, has, had. Have and has are used to form the present tense, had the past tense. To do, the forms are do, does, doing, did, done. Do, does, doing are all used to form the present tense. Doing is used to form the present progressive. Did and done are used to form the past tense. And then there are conditionals, or also called modals. Could, should, would, can, shall, will, may, might, must. So you want to have a good understanding of these forms of be so that you can correct, tricky B phrases. Now, there are many, many, many irregular verbs in the English language, but here are a few that you'll need to know for the examples that I'm getting ready to show you. And also, these are some of the most common irregular verbs that really trip people up. So let's take a look. You have the regular verb, the present tense form, the past tense form, and the past perfect. I'm just going to read through the columns, but you can see there that the first word I read will be the regular verb. The second will be the present tense. The third will be the past tense. And the fourth is what you use for the past perfect tense. All right. Begin, begins, began, begun. Do, does, did, done. See, sees, saw, seen. Go, goes, went, gone. Run, runs, ran, run. Win, wins, won, won. Take, takes, took, taken. With irregular verbs, either you have a completely different word or it changes form, as in do to did. So you have a completely different word for the past tense of do. That is what makes it irregular. The same with go, goes, but then you have went. The past tense of go is went. That is highly irregular because no form of go is used for the past tense. It is a completely different word, went. So if English is not your first language, you'll just need to be able to study these and recognize them. There are so many, but be able to recognize them and understand how to use them when you see them. And that takes a lot of study, practice, and repetition and recognition. Okay. So let's give you a few examples of what we mean by the present perfect tense. So what is the present perfect tense? In general, it is continuous action from the past that is still happening up to this present moment in time. To form the present perfect tense, you will first have either has or have, which is the present form, and you will have a past participle of the verb that ends in ed or en. So there's just two words, has or have, plus a past verb form. All right, let's take a look at some examples. My parents have lived in their house for 30 years. You have, which is the present of that helping verb or auxiliary verb, and then you have lived that has an ed on the end. I have worked at this job for 2 years. Have worked is the present perfect tense. Micah has always disliked broccoli. Has disliked is the present perfect tense. Just because has is interrupted by always does not mean that always is part of the formation. Only has and the verb. So it means in the first example, your parents have been living in that house for 30 years and they are still living in it. So it started in the past 30 years ago, but up to this moment in time, they are still living in the house. In the second example, you started working a job in the past 2 years ago, but you are still working that job. So at this present moment, you are still working the job that you started working 2 years ago. In the third example, Micah has always disliked broccoli. Well, he started in the past disliking broccoli, maybe as a child. And up to this point right now, he still dislikes broccoli. So this is what we mean by the present perfect tense. Let me warn you, this is a video that you will have to watch more than once. You will have to watch it over and over again until it sinks in. So instead of asking a million questions in my comment section, watch this video over and over until it sinks in. And you can always ask your English teacher. All right, here's what we mean by the past perfect tense. This tense describes two past events. One event was completed before the other event happened. So the completed event is referred to as the older event. And the second event, the one that happened more recently, is the more recent event. In order to form the past perfect tense, you have to have had, which is the past tense, and a verb that is in past participle form, meaning it has an ed or en at the end of it. All right, let's take a look at some examples. I called Mom at work, but she had already left for the day. Had left is the past perfect tense. What event was completed? She had already left for the day. What event is happening more recently? I called Mom at work. So you called her, but she had already left. When you were calling her, she had already left. So that action, the leaving, was already completed when you started a new action. So in this example, the older event is she had already left for the day. The more recent event is I called Mom at work. Again, let that marinate. Just sit with it until you get it. Second example, I had just stepped into the shower when the phone rang. Had stepped is the past perfect formation. What's the older event? What is the completed event? Had just stepped into the shower. That is the completed event, which we are calling the older event. Then what happened? The phone rang. A more recent event. So you have two events that happened in the past. One happened before the other. Third example, we got a new rug because the old one had faded. Had faded. That is the past participle. What's the older event? What is the event that was completed? The old rug had faded. That's the older event. Then what happened as a result? We got a new rug. That is the more recent event. So in general, this is what we mean by the past perfect tense. And in order to correct tricky B phrases, you'll need to have a good handle on that. So again, pause the video and watch this as many times as you need so that you will understand it. So now, instead of bogging you down with so many grammatical concepts and explanations, I'm just going to show you how to fix these errors. All of these phrases are sentences that I heard people actually say. This is why I'm calling this section Fixing Everyday Tricky B. So here is what someone said. You could have did that yesterday. Oh my. Correction. You could have done that yesterday. She had went to the store after she got off work. Correction. She had gone to the store after she got off work. Remember those irregular verbs, go, goes, went, gone? Make sure you review those irregular verbs. I may have ran out of chili powder for the spaghetti. Correction. I might have run out of chili powder for the spaghetti. May is a modal verb that asks permission. Might is a modal verb that suggests possibility. So this person might have run out of chili powder, but not really sure. So that is the difference between may and might. That's why you use might in this sentence and not may. Nobody is asking for permission, but somebody is expressing the fact that it is a possibility that they have run out of chili powder. You seen the video on TikTok just like I did. They seen it too. Oh, no. Correction. You saw the video on TikTok just like I did. They saw it too. Remember, saw is the past tense of see. Seen, S-E-E-N, is used with the past perfect. So again, go back to those previous slides and look at those irregular verbs. Sheena had did her homework at school. Correction. Sheena had done her homework at school. Even better, you could say Sheena finished her homework at school. That way you just have a simple past tense. You don't necessarily need the past perfect in order to express the fact that Sheena had already done her homework. You should have did your assignments before you got sleepy. Oh my. You should have done your assignments before you got sleepy. Again, do trips people up. Remember, you have do, does, did, done, doing. So review how to use do in different verb tenses. Registration had already began when I got there at 7:30. Correction. Registration had already begun when I got there at 7:30. We be doing that all the time. Oh, stop saying that. Stop it. Correction. We do that all the time. That's all you need. They was joyriding in my car. Correction. They were joyriding in my car. This is just simple subject-verb agreement. They is plural, so it needs a plural verb, were. But were is also a form of be. I had came in early to get some work done before the team meeting. Correction. I had come in early to get some work done before the team meeting. Come is another irregular verb that is associated with be. So it's come, comes, came, and come is used with the past perfect. We all have went through some hard times in life. We all have gone through some hard times in life. Sha'Carri could have won a gold medal in the Olympics. I saw that written in somebody's Facebook post. Oh no. Correction. Sha'Carri could have won a gold medal in the Olympics. We knew some people that had did daycare when their son was 1 year old. I heard a woman say that in her YouTube podcast. Correction. We knew some people that had done daycare when their son was 1 year old. This is what she was trying to say, because 1 year is fairly early to go to daycare. She was trying to say, we know some people who put their son in daycare when he was 1 year old. You get it? We knew some people that put their son in daycare when he was 1 year old. That's easier to understand than this past perfect tense. So make sure that you are writing and speaking your sentences in a way that is clear and straightforward. All right. So again, go back, rewind the video, go back to the parts that you need to study again. New merch alert. Yes, Professor Hampton has some new merchandise. I've got backpacks, coffee mugs, t-shirts for men and for women. Just go to arhampton.com/merch. That's www.arhampton.com/merch. I have notebooks, blank notebooks, lunch bags, just all kinds of cool stuff so that you can start a conversation. Because if you wear a shirt that says be well, somebody's going to say something. Another shirt says speak well. And the one that you see on the screen says write well, speak well. So there are different designs with different slogans. Again, you want to head to my website at www.arhampton.com/merch. Thank you so much for watching and happy learning.